In the heart of the verdant plains of Nigeria, there lay a village called Ireke. The village was known for its whispering winds, which danced through the tall grass and mango trees, carrying secrets of the past and the dreams of those who listened. Among the small clay houses with thatched roofs lived a young girl named Amara. She was 12, with skin the color of rich cocoa, eyes like dark honey, and hair tightly coiled into neat braids adorned with tiny beads. Her family was poor but proud. Her father, a farmer, labored from dawn to dusk, and her mother wove baskets and mats to sell at the market. Amara's greatest treasure was a small clay jar she kept under her bed. Inside, she placed every coin she ever received, sometimes a gift from her grandmother, sometimes a tip from helping neighbors. "Save every coin," her mother had told her. "Even the smallest seed grows into a mighty tree if you care for it." Amara repeated these words to herself each night as she closed the lid and listened to the whispering winds outside. Life in Ireke was not easy. Children ran barefoot on dust paths, chasing chickens and playing hide-and-seek, while adults carried the weight of survival. Yet the villagers' hearts were heavy with stories. Stories of curses, of spirits in the rivers, of dreams that came true only for the patient. Amara had learned to listen to these stories, believing that one day her patience would yield something wonderful. It was a Thursday when Amara first noticed the strange glow on the horizon as she walked home from fetching water. The wind seemed to hum a peculiar tune, and the villagers whispered that a rare visitor was coming, one who could see the hearts of people. Amara's heart fluttered. She clutched her clay jar tightly, feeling the cold coins inside as though they were little pieces of her soul. She did not yet know what she would need to save for, but somehow, deep in her heart, she felt that her life was about to change. That evening, Amara sat by the fire as her grandmother, Neneka, told a story she had heard long ago from the elders. "Every person," Neneka said, "has one thing their heart truly desires. Many search for gold, many chase titles, but only the patient, the careful, and the kind-hearted ever find it. And sometimes it is bought not with silver or gold, but with faith, courage, and patience." Amara's eyes widened. She thought of her clay jar and the coins she had saved. Could her jar hold the magic to buy what her heart needed? She had always wanted a beautiful drum carved with patterns of her ancestors that would let her speak to the spirits of the village, but her family could not afford such luxuries. Each night she pressed her palms to her small chest and imagined the drum, its sounds rolling like thunder, connecting her to a world beyond the ordinary. The next day she began to count her coins carefully. She discovered that she had saved exactly 75 coins over 3 years. Some were so worn she barely recognized them. Others were shiny, glimmering as if they held hidden secrets. "I must be very careful," she whispered. "I will save every coin, and when the time comes, I will buy the one thing my heart truly needs." Her friends teased her. "Why do you keep every coin, Amara? Why not spend it on sweets, toys, or a new dress?" But Amara only smiled. She knew that what she desired was far greater than any fleeting pleasure. In the whispering winds that passed her window that night, she felt the promise of adventure, of a journey that would test her patience, courage, and heart. The following week, a stranger arrived in the village. He wore a long, flowing robe dyed with indigo and gold, and a turban that shimmered in the morning sun. The villagers whispered in awe, for he carried a small, intricately carved chest that he set on a stall in the market. "Here," he announced, "are things that only reveal themselves to those who truly need them." Amara, curious and cautious, approached the stall. The stranger looked at her with eyes as dark as the night sky. "Child," he said, "what is it that you seek?" Amara hesitated. Could she tell him? Could she reveal the dream she had carried in her heart for so long? She thought of her jar, her saved coins, and whispered, "I want the one thing my heart truly needs." The stranger nodded slowly. "Many desire things," he said, "but few are ready to pay the true cost. Remember, the coin is only the beginning. To claim what you need, you must prove your heart." Amara left the market with a mixture of excitement and fear. The words of her grandmother echoed in her ears: faith, courage, and patience. She clutched her clay jar tightly, certain that the journey had begun. That night, as the moon rose high above Ireke, Amara heard a whisper through the wind. "Amara," it seemed to say, "follow me." She rose silently and stepped into the open fields. The tall grass brushed against her legs as she walked,
Suddenly,
guided
the
by an
wind grew
unseen
fierce.
force.
Whirling around her, it tested her balance, trying to throw her off the path. "I will not be afraid," Amara whispered. She pressed forward, gripping her jar tightly. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes, until she arrived at a clearing she had never seen. In the center was a circle of stones, glowing faintly. A voice echoed from the circle. "To claim what you need, you must first learn the value of every small thing. Each coin saved, each act of patience, each moment of kindness, these are the keys." Amara knelt and touched the stones, feeling a warmth spread through her hands and into her chest. She realized that her journey was only beginning and that the treasure she sought would demand more than money. It would demand her heart, her spirit, and her courage. The next morning, Amara awoke to find a note beside her bed. It read, "Give to those who have less than you. Only then will the path open." She was puzzled. She had saved every coin carefully. How could she give any away? Yet as she walked to the market, she saw a small boy crying because his only loaf of bread had fallen into the mud. Without hesitation, Amara emptied 5 of her coins into his hands. The boy's face lit up, and he ran home thanking her profusely. Amara felt a warmth spread through her chest, a strange, powerful feeling that no coin had ever given her. When she returned home, she found a tiny envelope at her door. Inside was a single coin unlike any she had seen, golden, radiant, and humming with energy. A note read, "You have begun. Continue, and your heart shall guide you." Amara held the coin close, realizing that the path ahead would test her in ways she could never imagine. But she was ready. Her heart was set, and she knew deep down that every coin she had saved was only the beginning of a journey that would change her life forever. The morning sun spilled gold across Ireke, touching the clay rooftops and the tall grasses swaying in the fields. Amara awoke with a strange sense of anticipation. The golden coin she had received yesterday hummed softly on her bedside table. Its warmth pulsed like a heartbeat, and she felt a curious connection to it, as if the coin itself were alive and whispering secrets meant only for her. She clutched it tightly, her fingers pressing into its smooth, shining surface. "I must not waste this," she whispered to herself. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. "Faith, courage, and patience are the keys to unlocking your heart's desire." But Amara felt an unfamiliar stir of fear. What if the coin's magic required something far greater than she could give? Determined, she set out to the marketplace. The village was alive with activity. Women balanced baskets of yams and peppers on their heads, children chased chickens across the dusty paths, and the air smelled of smoke from cooking fires mixed with the sweetness of ripe mangoes. But Amara had eyes for only one thing, the stranger's stall. She weaved through the crowd, clutching the golden coin tightly, her heart pounding. When she reached the stall, she found the stranger waiting, his dark eyes calm yet piercing. "You return," he said softly, "and with purpose in your step. That is the first sign of readiness. But beware, child, the path grows more difficult from here." Amara nodded, feeling the weight of the coin in her palm. "I am ready," she said, though her voice trembled. "Tell me what I must do." The stranger reached into his chest and pulled out a small folded scroll. "This map will guide you," he said, handing it to her. "It will show the places where your patience will be tested, where your courage must shine, and where your heart will be tempted. Only those who follow the path faithfully will find what they seek." Amara unfurled the scroll. The ink shimmered strangely, moving as if alive. She gasped. The map depicted Ireke in ways she had never seen, highlighting secret paths through forests, rivers that glowed under moonlight, and mountains she had only heard about in stories. And at the center, a symbol, a small tree growing from a golden coin. That must be the sign of the heart's desire. As she folded the map carefully, a soft voice drifted through the wind, barely audible. "Your first trial begins at the river before sunset. Do not be afraid, but do not be reckless. The path chooses the worthy." Amara's heart pounded. The river! She had crossed it countless times as a child, but she sensed that this journey would be unlike any other. With her clay jar tucked safely under her arm and the golden coin warm in her hand, she set off toward the riverbank. Hours passed as the sun climbed higher, and the wind seemed to whisper encouragement to her, teasing her forward with soft caresses of grass and leaves. By the time she reached the river, the water shimmered like molten silver under the late afternoon sun. But something was wrong. The river's surface was unnaturally still, as if holding its breath. And from within the water, shadows began to rise, dark shapes twisting and forming the faces of those who had sought more than they clutching the coin. She remembered the stranger's warning, "The path chooses the worthy." She took a deep breath, tightened her grip, and stepped forward, letting the coin guide her courage. Tonight, she realized, would be the first night where her heart would truly be tested. The river stretched before Amara like a ribbon of molten silver, glinting under the late afternoon sun. She could feel her pulse in her throat, each beat echoing like a drum in the quiet air. The shadows had begun to rise from the water, twisting and contorting into forms both human and monstrous. They were dark, fluid, and alive, murmuring in voices that seemed to pierce her very soul. Some whispered fear, some desire, and some bitter envy. Amara stepped carefully onto the riverbank, her bare feet pressing into the damp earth. She held the golden coin close, feeling its warmth seep into her palms. The wind swirled around her, carrying the faint scent of jasmine and the tang of river water. "Do not be afraid, but do not be reckless," she remembered the stranger's words. The shadows advanced. They moved with an almost hypnotic rhythm, like dancers performing a dark ritual. One of them took the shape of a boy from her village who had stolen her small beads years ago. Another resembled a merchant who had cheated a customer out of a handful of coins. They reached toward her with elongated fingers that seemed to drip with black liquid. Amara's heart pounded, but she remembered her purpose. This river, these shadows, they were tests, trials of her courage and her heart. She lifted the golden coin high, and a soft light began to radiate from it, illuminating her path. The shadows recoiled from the light, shrieking in silence. But the further she stepped, the more they multiplied, creating walls of darkness on all sides. Then a voice rose above the shadows, deep and commanding. Amara, why do you cling to a mere coin? Do you not crave more? Fame, power, riches? The voice was cold yet compelling, and Amara felt doubt creep into her mind. She glanced at the golden coin, its warmth a gentle reminder of her promise. "No," she whispered firmly, "I only seek what my heart truly needs." The shadows faltered, their forms wavering as if uncertain of her resolute. Amara took a deep breath and stepped into the water. Each step sent ripples across the river's surface, disturbing the darkness that clung like smoke. She could feel the cold biting at her ankles, but the light of the coin grew stronger with every step, chasing the shadows back toward the depths. Halfway across, a massive shadow emerged, a swirling mass of blackness that towered over her. Its voice was like thunder, shaking the ground beneath her feet. "Your courage is small. How will you face the trials yet to come?" Amara's knees trembled, but she gritted her teeth. "I do not face these trials for gold nor for glory," she shouted, her voice steady despite the fear. "I face them for the one thing my heart truly needs." At that moment, the coin blazed like a tiny sun, and a soft path of silver light appeared across the river, cutting through the shadows. With careful steps, Amara followed the path until she reached the opposite bank. The shadows hissed and dissolved into the river, leaving only the soft murmur of flowing water behind. Exhausted but triumphant, Amara sank to her knees. She looked at the golden coin, realizing that courage alone could illuminate the darkest paths. She had passed the first true trial, but she knew this was only the beginning. The river had tested her heart, and she had proved herself worthy, but the journey ahead promised far greater challenges, each demanding more patience, wisdom, and sacrifice than she could yet imagine. Amara rose, brushing the mud from her clothes, and whispered to herself, "I will continue. I will save every coin, endure every trial, and find the one thing my heart truly needs, no matter what stands in my way." After crossing the river, Amara felt a strange energy coursing through her veins. The stranger's map had shown a forest beyond the river, marked with twisting paths and ancient symbols. They called it the Forest of Murmuring Leaves, a place where the trees were said to speak in riddles, and travelers often lost themselves to their own doubts. The forest loomed ahead, a wall of towering trees with branches that interwove like a woven canopy. Shadows danced across the ground as sunlight filtered through the thick foliage. Amara hesitated at the entrance, listening carefully. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and wildflowers. Then she heard it, a faint whispering, almost like a melody, floating between the trunks. "Welcome, Amara," a voice seemed to say. "Those who enter must choose carefully, for the forest mirrors the heart of its traveler. Only the steadfast will find the path to their desire." She clutched the coin tighter, feeling its warmth spread into her chest. The whispers grew louder, repeating fragments of her own thoughts, her doubts, her fears, and even her secret dreams. Every rustle of leaves seemed to taunt her. "Will you falter? Will you spend your coins foolishly? Do you deserve what you seek?" She took a deep breath and stepped into the forest. Almost immediately, the ground beneath her feet seemed to shift. A path that had appeared a moment ago vanished, replaced by a tangle of roots and creeping vines. The trees themselves seemed alive, moving subtly to block her progress. Yet she remembered the lessons of the river. Courage and faith could illuminate the darkest paths. Hours passed as Amara carefully navigated the forest. She listened to the whispers, learning to distinguish between lies and truths. Occasionally, a soft light glimmered ahead, like the pulse of her golden coin, guiding her through the maze of trunks and shadows. But the forest was not merely a test of patience, it tested her compassion as well. At one point, she came across a small bird caught in a net of thorny vines. Its wings were tangled, and it chirped frantically. Amara hesitated, knowing that freeing the bird might cost her precious time, and every step in the forest was vital. But her heart would not allow her to ignore suffering. Gently she untangled the bird, her fingers pricked by thorns, and watched it soar into the light above. The whispers shifted, no longer mocking. Instead, a warm murmur of approval seemed to ripple through the leaves. Finally, as the sun began to dip low in the sky, Amara reached a small clearing. In its center stood an ancient tree, its trunk wide and knotted, with golden light streaming from a hollow at its base. A gentle wind brushed past her, carrying the scent of earth and honey. She knew instinctively that this was the next step in her journey. The forest had tested her patience, courage, and compassion, and she had emerged stronger, more determined than ever. With a deep breath, Amara stepped forward toward the tree hollow. She felt the pulse of the coin synchronize with the rhythm of her heart. Whatever lay inside would reveal the next challenge, and perhaps bring her one step closer to the one thing her heart truly needed. Amara approached the ancient tree cautiously, her feet brushing over fallen leaves and twisted roots. The hollow at its base glimmered with golden light, beckoning her closer. As she neared, the golden coin in her hand vibrated softly, resonating with the tree as if responding to its power. A hush fell over the forest, the whispering leaves suddenly still, and the only sound was her own heartbeat. From the hollow, a deep, sonorous voice echoed. "Child of Ireke, you have shown patience, courage, and kindness, yet these are only the beginnings. To proceed, you must prove your wisdom. Answer my riddle, and the path shall open. Fail, and you shall wander here until the winds themselves forget your name." Amara swallowed nervously, gripping the coin tightly, her voice steady despite the fluttering of fear in her chest. The tree spoke again, its voice rolling like distant thunder. "I am not alive, yet I grow. I have no mouth, yet I speak. I have no eyes, yet I see the truth in those who seek me. What am I?" Amara closed her eyes, letting the hum of the coin guide her thoughts. She thought of the lessons she had learned from her family, her grandmother's stories, the shadows at the river, and the murmuring forest. Not all answers are obvious, she reminded herself. Some truths must be felt, not seen. Minutes passed, the wind shifted around her, brushing the leaves against her skin as if urging her to think deeper. I believe you are a tree," she said finally, uncertain. The forest remained silent, shadows stretching across the clearing, testing her confidence. "No," the voice rumbled, "you must go deeper. The answer lies not in what you see, but in what you hold within. Think of what you have saved, what you have protected, what you have given. What speaks without a mouth, sees without eyes, and grows without life." Amara's mind raced. She thought of her coin jar, every coin she had painstakingly saved, every act of patience, every gesture of kindness. Then it came to her. Suddenly the whispering winds seemed to applaud her realization. "A coin?" she whispered. "The coin! It speaks to the heart, shows the way, and grows in value when handled with care." The ancient tree's hollow glowed brighter, and the ground beneath her feet seemed to hum in response. "You are correct, child. The coin is more than metal. It is the measure of your heart. Only those who respect its value may continue. Take this gift and proceed with courage." From the hollow, a small golden leaf fell, landing softly in Amara's hands. It shimmered with warmth, the same warmth that pulsed from the coin. Amara realized that this leaf was a token, a reward for her wisdom, and a key for the next stage of her journey.
Feeling a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. Each trial had tested her resolve, yet each success strengthened her determination. The forest had taught her patience, courage, compassion, and now wisdom. She knew that the path ahead would demand even more, but she also knew that she was ready to face whatever challenges awaited her. With the golden leaf secured and her coin humming with life, Amara stepped away from the tree, deeper into the forest, ready to continue the quest for the one thing her heart truly needed. After leaving the forest of murmuring leaves, Amara emerged into a small clearing where the golden light of the evening sun painted the horizon. The whispers of the forest faded behind her, replaced by the gentle rustle of grass and the distant calls of birds returning to their nests. She felt a sense of accomplishment, but also a strange unease. Her journey had just begun, and already the trials demanded more than she had ever imagined. Ahead lay a crossroads, two dusty paths stretching in opposite directions. One led toward the mountains shown on the map, where legends said ancient spirits guarded untold secrets. The other descended toward the valley, dotted with villages and wandering travelers. Amara studied the paths carefully. She remembered the stranger's words, "The path chooses the worthy." But how could she know which was truly the right one? As she hesitated, a figure emerged from the shadows, a man draped in a tattered cloak, his face hidden beneath a hood. He leaned on a crooked staff and watched her approach, his eyes gleaming faintly in the last rays of sunlight. "Lost, are we?" he asked, his voice rough but not unkind. "Or are you searching for something?" Amara held up the golden coin and the shimmering leaf. "I am searching for the one thing my heart truly needs." Her voice was steady, though her heart raced. "I've come this far, and I will continue." The stranger smiled faintly, revealing nothing but mystery. "Many say that. Few endure. You've proven courage, patience, and wisdom, but the journey tests trust as well. One must sometimes rely on others to reach what the heart desires. Will you trust me?" Amara hesitated. She knew the lessons of her village. Strangers could bring either blessings or misfortune. Yet something in his gaze suggested truth rather than deception. She nodded slowly. "I will." The stranger extended his hand. "Then follow me. There is a place not marked on your map where the next trial awaits. It will challenge what you hold most dear, your sense of judgment and your ability to give without expectation." Amara followed him through the tall grasses, her mind racing with questions. Who was he really? What kind of trial awaited her? And most importantly, could she trust the judgment she had relied on so far? As night fell, they reached a small village at the edge of a forest clearing. The houses were humble, smoke curling from their chimneys, and children played quietly in the twilight. In the center of the village stood a small, orphaned boy crying over a broken toy, while an elderly woman struggled to carry bundles of firewood. The stranger turned to Amara. "Your first act of trust begins here. Choose, will you help or will you continue on your path alone? Remember, the heart that seeks only itself is blind to the treasures of the world." Amara looked at the boy, the woman, and then at the stranger. Her heart tightened. Every coin she had saved, every lesson she had learned had led her to this moment. She knew her journey was more than the pursuit of a single object. It was the shaping of her soul. With determination, she stepped forward, ready to act, knowing that the choice she made here would ripple through the trials yet to come. Amara stepped closer to the orphaned boy who clutched a small, broken wooden toy in his hands. His eyes were wide with sorrow, tears streaking his dusty cheeks. The elderly woman struggled under the weight of her firewood, her back bent and her face etched with exhaustion. Amara's heart ached. She looked down at the golden coin in her hand, its warmth pulsing like a heartbeat. She remembered the stranger's words, "The heart that seeks only itself is blind to the treasures of the world." Without hesitation, Amara knelt beside the boy. "Here," she said softly, placing a few of her carefully saved coins into his small, trembling hands. "Use this to get a new toy or food or whatever you need most." The boy blinked in astonishment. "For me?" he whispered. "But I don't even know your name." Amara smiled gently. "Names are not important. What matters is helping when you can." She turned to the elderly woman and handed her the remaining coins she had saved in her small pouch. "This will help with your firewood or food or anything you need." The woman gasped, clutching Amara's hands as her eyes
watched
filled
quietly
with
from a
gratitude.
distance, his hooded face betraying no emotion. The forest around them seemed to hold its breath. Then, something extraordinary happened. The golden leaf in Amara's other hand began to glow, its light growing stronger with every act of kindness she performed. The coin hummed in harmony, vibrating through her palm as if recognizing her choices. "You see, child," the stranger finally spoke, stepping closer. "True wealth is not measured by what you hold, but by what you give. You have passed this trial not with cleverness or courage alone, but with your heart. Generosity strengthens the soul and prepares it for what lies ahead." Amara's chest swelled with pride and warmth. She had faced shadows, riddles, and the murmurings of the forest, and now she had learned that her journey required more than saving coins. It required trust, compassion, and sacrifice. For the first time, she truly understood that the path to the one thing her heart needed was as much about who she was becoming as the treasure she sought. As night fell over the village, the stranger handed her a small satchel. "This will help you on the next leg of your journey. Inside you will find supplies and a token to guide you when doubt clouds your path. But remember, your greatest tool will always be your heart." Amara accepted the satchel with reverence. The boy waved at her, and the elderly woman smiled with tears in her eyes. She felt a connection to them, a reminder that her journey was not solitary. It intertwined with the lives of others, and every act of kindness would echo back to her in ways she could not yet imagine. With the satchel secured and her golden coin and leaf close to her heart, Amara set out into the night. The path ahead was unknown, but she felt ready. She had endured trials of courage, wisdom, and generosity, and each step brought her closer to the one thing her heart truly needed. The following morning, Amara set out from the village with the stranger's satchel slung over her shoulder. The path ahead wound upward toward the distant mountains, their peaks hidden by swirling clouds. According to the map, these mountains held a sacred trial, a test of patience and endurance. Many had attempted to climb them in the past, but few had returned, worn down by steep paths, sudden storms, and illusions that preyed on weary minds. Amara's legs ached as she began the ascent, but her heart remained steady. The golden coin and shimmering leaf she carried pulsed with warmth, reminding her of the courage, wisdom, and generosity she had already demonstrated. "Step by step," she whispered to herself, echoing her grandmother's old advice. "Even the tallest mountain can be climbed if the heart never wavers." The path grew steeper, lined with jagged rocks and twisted trees clinging desperately to the mountainside. Clouds rolled in, obscuring the sun and casting eerie shadows across her way. The wind howled, tugging at her clothes and scattering loose stones beneath her feet. At one point, she nearly slipped into a narrow ravine, but the coin seemed to pulse urgently in her palm, guiding her balance and keeping her upright. Hours passed. The mountain seemed endless, and doubt began to creep into her mind. Will I ever reach the top? What if the trial is beyond me? She thought. Her fingers ached from holding the coin so tightly, and her feet burned with exhaustion. Yet every time she faltered, she remembered the lives she had touched, the boy, the elderly woman, the shadows at the river. Her heart reminded her of why she had begun this journey. Near twilight, Amara reached a plateau halfway up the mountain. A clear spring bubbled from the rocks, and beside it lay a circle of stones forming a perfect spiral. At first glance, the spiral seemed simple, but as she watched, it began to shift and rearrange itself, creating new paths and dead ends. A soft, melodic voice echoed across the plateau. Only the patient may follow the spiral to the summit. Those who hurry will find themselves lost forever. Amara took a deep breath and stepped into the spiral. Each turn required careful thought, measuring her pace and watching for illusions designed to confuse or distract her. Shadows of travelers who had failed before appeared and vanished as she navigated the winding path, whispering doubts and fears. But she pressed on, remembering every lesson she had learned: courage, generosity, wisdom, and trust. Hours blurred into night, yet Amara refused to rest. With each careful step, the golden coin pulsed brighter, and the leaf in her satchel seemed to radiate a soft, guiding light. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she reached the summit. The clouds parted, revealing the moon and stars shining above like 1,000 lanterns. In the center of the summit lay a stone altar, etched with ancient symbols that seemed to glow faintly in the
altar,
moonlight.
exhausted but triumphant. She realized that patience had carried her higher than fear or strength ever could. And as she stood there, breathing in the cold mountain air, she knew that the mountain had tested her in ways far beyond the physical. It had tested her spirit, her endurance, and the unwavering commitment to the path her heart demanded. At the summit of the mountain, Amara's breath came in shallow gasps, but her spirit felt lighter than ever. The stone altar in front of her was unlike anything she had ever seen. Its surface was etched with intricate patterns, symbols of the sun, moon, and stars, intertwined with spirals of rivers and trees. Golden light seemed to emanate from the carvings themselves, illuminating the mountaintop with a soft, otherworldly glow. Amara stepped closer, feeling the warmth of the golden coin pulse in her palm. She placed the coin gently on the altar. The moment it touched the stone, the carvings began to shimmer and shift. A soft, melodic voice filled the summit, calm yet powerful. "Child of Ireke, you have climbed the mountain, endured its trials, and shown patience, courage, generosity, and wisdom. The path ahead will demand more than these qualities alone. Are you ready to face what lies within your own heart?" Amara nodded, her chest swelling with both fear and determination. "I am ready," she said, her voice unwavering despite the cold wind whipping around her. The altar's light intensified, and the golden leaf in her satchel floated gently into the air. It hovered above the altar, spinning slowly, radiating a warmth that made the hairs on her arms stand on end. As she watched, the symbols on the stone began to form images, visions of her village, her family, the boy she had helped, the elderly woman, and even the shadows she had confronted at the river. Each vision reflected moments where her choices had shaped not only her destiny, but also the lives of others. Then a deeper, more personal image appeared.
a small drum carved from dark mahogany, decorated with patterns of swirling winds and radiant suns. Amara's heart skipped a beat. She recognized it immediately. It was the object she had longed for, the instrument that could connect her to the spirits of her ancestors, the one thing her heart had truly needed. The golden coin and the leaf pulsed together in harmony, as if affirming that the moment had come to claim her heart's desire. But the voice spoke again, softer this time, almost a whisper. To claim what you seek, you must make a sacrifice, not of gold nor of comfort, but of fear. Only by releasing the doubt and hesitation within yourself can the treasure be yours. Amara took a deep breath and closed her eyes. She thought of every moment she had been afraid, every step where uncertainty had threatened to stop her. With a firm exhale, she let go of the fear that had clung to her since childhood. She placed both her hands on the altar, allowing her heart to open fully to the journey, the lessons, and the life she had yet to embrace. When she opened her eyes, the drum lay before her, small yet radiant, glowing faintly with ancestral energy. It hummed as if alive, resonating with the golden coin still in her hand. Amara felt tears stream down her face, a mixture of joy, relief, and reverence. The one thing her heart truly needed was within her reach, not because of wealth, but because of every choice, every act, every coin she had saved, and every lesson she had learned along the way. Amara lifted the drum gently, feeling its energy align with her own heartbeat. She realized in that magical moment atop the mountain that her journey was not merely about acquiring an object, it was about discovering the strength, courage, and wisdom that had always been within her. Amara cradled the drum in her arms, its polished mahogany surface warm and almost pulsating with life. The carvings shimmered faintly in the moonlight, the intricate patterns seeming to shift as if alive. She could feel a strange energy radiating from it, almost as if it was attuned to her heartbeat. The golden coin in her hand hummed softly in harmony, and the leaf in her satchel glowed with a gentle warmth. The mountain summit was silent except for the whisper of the wind. Tentatively, Amara tapped the drum's surface with her fingers. The sound that emerged was unlike anything she had ever heard, deep, resonant, and filled with a rhythm that seemed to echo the heartbeat of the earth itself. As the sound reverberated, the carvings on the drum glowed brighter, and a gentle voice spoke, not with words, but within her mind. Amara, child of patience and courage, you have proven worthy. Through courage, wisdom, and generosity, you have earned what many cannot even dream of. Amara gasped and clutched the drum tightly. Who are you?" she whispered. "I am the spirit of your ancestors, the keeper of the wisdom and the heart of Ireke. Through this drum you may speak to those who have gone before and seek guidance. But remember, it is not merely an instrument, it is a bridge between your heart and the world around
Amara's
you.
mind
Use
raced.
it wisely."
The drum, the coin, the leaf, they were not just objects. They were symbols of everything she had endured, of every choice she had made, every act of courage, patience, and generosity. She realized that her journey had not been about acquiring a treasure, but about becoming someone capable of wielding such power responsibly. Tentatively, she tapped the drum again. This time the sound resonated across the mountain, carrying with it visions of her village, the river, and the forest. She saw the faces of the boy and the elderly woman she had helped, the shadows she had faced, and even her own reflection in the moonlit river.
each vision seemed alive, as though the drum was showing her the consequences of her actions and the connections she had made. A warm breeze swept across the summit, and the golden leaf floated from her satchel, circling the drum before settling beside it. Its glow intensified, and Amara felt a deep sense of clarity. She understood now that her heart's true desire was not merely to own the drum, it was to understand herself, to connect with the world around her, and to channel her courage, wisdom, and compassion into something greater. As night deepened, Amara sat cross-legged on the summit, tapping gentle rhythms on the drum. The sound seemed to speak to her, to soothe her, and to guide her. She felt a deep bond with the spirits of her ancestors and with every life she had touched along her journey. The golden coin pulsed in her palm as if approving of her choice, and the leaf glowed softly, a silent witness to her transformation. Amara whispered to herself, "I have found what my heart truly needs, and now I must learn to use it." As dawn broke over the mountains, Amara carefully packed the drum, golden coin, and leaf into her satchel. She felt a new strength coursing through her, a sense of purpose deeper than anything she had experienced before. The path ahead led her back toward Ireke, her village nestled among rolling plains and whispering winds. But she sensed that the trials were far from over. The golden leaf had glown stronger the night before, as if signaling that her next challenge awaited not in distant mountains or forests, but close to home. By mid-morning, Amara could see the familiar clay rooftops of Ireke in the distance. As she approached, she noticed a strange tension in the air. Villagers hurried back and forth with anxious expressions. Children clung to their parents, and merchants packed up their stalls with hurried hands. A sense of urgency thrummed through the village, as if everyone were holding their breath, waiting for something unknown. Amara hurried toward her home, only to find her parents standing outside, worry etched on their faces. "Amara," her mother called, relief flooding her voice. "We have been searching for you. Strange things are happening in the village. Crops are failing, the river has receded, and people are arguing like never before. We don't know what to do." Amara's heart tightened. She realized that the lessons she had learned, the courage to face shadows, the wisdom to solve riddles, the patience to endure the mountain, and the generosity that had guided her hands, were needed here more than ever. She clutched the drum in her arms and felt the golden coin warm in her pocket. This was her first real test of leadership and responsibility. She gathered the villagers in the square, explaining what she had learned on her journey. "We cannot fix everything with fear or anger," she told them. "We must work together with patience, courage, and generosity. The strength of our hearts is more powerful than any hardship." Some villagers were skeptical, but many were inspired. Amara proposed practical solutions. They would work together to repair the river's channels, share food more evenly, and tend to the failing crops with new methods she had learned from the mountain paths. She also used the drum to call meetings, its deep, resonant sound drawing everyone's attention and uniting their focus. As the villagers worked, Amara realized that the drum had a magical quality. It seemed to amplify the intentions of those who acted with purpose. When people acted selfishly, the rhythm faltered. When they acted generously, the rhythm soared, resonating across the fields and homes. By sunset, the village had begun to recover, and a sense of harmony returned. Exhausted but triumphant, Amara sat in the village square that night, the drum resting beside her. She felt the golden coin pulsing, almost like a heartbeat in tune with the village itself. Her heart swelled with the realization that the journey was not merely about acquiring something precious, it was about using what she had earned to make the world around her better. Amara whispered into the evening air, "I have found what my heart truly needs, and now I must learn to use it." The night was calm, with a crescent moon hanging low above Ireke, casting silver light over the village. Amara sat in her small yard, the drum resting against her knees, and the golden coin warm in the satisfaction of helping her village recover from the recent hardships. Yet a lingering sense of anticipation hummed beneath her calm exterior. She knew that her journey was far from over. A sudden rustle in the tall grass caught her attention. She turned and saw a figure approaching, cloaked in deep indigo robes, their face hidden beneath a hood. The villagers had long since retreated indoors for the night, leaving Amara alone in the quiet square. Her heart raced, not with fear, but with curiosity. The figure stopped a few feet away, and a soft voice, calm yet commanding, spoke. "Amara of Ireke, your deeds have reached beyond these fields and mountains. You have proven patience, courage, generosity, and wisdom. Yet the path ahead requires more than these virtues. It requires understanding of destiny itself." Amara took a cautious step forward. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice steady. The stranger did not respond immediately, instead lifting a hand to reveal a small, intricately carved talisman that glimmered faintly in the moonlight. "I am a guide," the stranger said at last. "I do not walk your path for you, but I reveal what must be seen. There is a choice awaiting you, a path that will define not only your journey, but the legacy of your village." Amara's brow furrowed. She had already endured countless trials, yet she felt a thrill of excitement mixed with apprehension. "What choice?" she asked, holding the drum close to her chest. The stranger's voice grew softer, almost a whisper carried on the wind. "A great festival approaches, one that occurs once every 50 years. During it, a spirit of the land awakens and offers a gift to those who have proven themselves worthy, but only one may receive it. To claim the gift, you must face a trial unlike any you have encountered before. You must confront your deepest fears, and your heart will be tested more profoundly than by any coin, any shadow, or any riddle." Amara felt a shiver run down her spine, yet her resolve hardened. She knew that this visitor had come to push her further, to test her spirit beyond what she had already endured. She tightened her grip on the golden coin and drum, feeling the warmth and energy that had carried her through so many trials. "I will face whatever comes," she said firmly. "I will not turn away, no matter how difficult it may be." The stranger nodded slowly, the hooded face still hidden. "Very well. The trial begins with the rising sun. Rest now, for the dawn will bring both revelation and challenge. Remember, Amara, what your heart truly needs may not be what you expect, but only the steadfast will see it clearly." With those words, the figure melted into the shadows, leaving Amara alone under the silver glow of the moon. She felt the pulse of the drum and coin in her hands, a reminder that she had endured so much already, and that the next step would demand every ounce of courage, patience, and wisdom she possessed. Before the first light of dawn, Amara awoke with a sense of both dread and anticipation. The mysterious visitor's warning lingered in her mind. Your heart will be tested more profoundly than by any coin, any shadow, or any riddle. She tightened her grip on the golden coin and drum, feeling their warmth pulsate with her heartbeat. Today she would face the festival of the awakening spirit, a rare event that occurred once every 50 years and was said to reveal the deepest truths to those brave enough to participate. As she approached the village square, she noticed that preparations had already begun.
Villagers were setting up ornate decorations, hanging colorful ribbons, and lighting small lanterns along the pathways. The air smelled of roasted yams, spices, and fresh flowers. A gentle hum of excitement mingled with nervous energy as elders whispered amongst themselves about the spirit that would awaken. Amara found herself at the center of the square, the drum secure in her lap. The crowd parted slightly, giving her space, as if some unseen force recognized her as central to the festival. Suddenly, a beam of soft golden light descended from the sky, illuminating a circular stone platform at the heart of the village. This, Amara realized, was where the spirit would manifest. Her heart raced, each beat amplified by the humming warmth of the coin in her hand. A voice, deeper and older than any she had ever heard, resonated from the light. Amara of Ireke, you have journeyed far, endured trials, and proven your heart to be steadfast. Yet the greatest test lies before you. Only by confronting your deepest fear will you claim what your heart truly needs. The golden light swirled and condensed into a shadowy figure, Amara's fear made manifest. It took the shape of everything she had ever dreaded: failure, loss, disappointment, and loneliness. Its eyes glowed a chilling red, and it spoke without moving its lips. You think you are worthy, but one wrong choice, one act of hesitation, and all you have earned will be lost. Can you endure the weight of your own heart?
But she placed her hands firmly on the drum. The first tap resonated through the square, and the coin in her pocket pulsed in harmony. She inhaled deeply, recalling every lesson she had learned: courage against the shadows, patience on the mountain, generosity in the village, and wisdom in the forest. With each heartbeat, she struck the drum again, letting its deep, resonant rhythm fill the air. The shadow figure recoiled, the red glow flickering as if confused. Amara continued tapping, each strike radiating her resolve and clarity. The villagers watched in awe as the drum's rhythm seemed to harmonize with the light above, sending waves of energy that dissolved the fear shadow slowly, leaving only a soft, warm glow in its place. Amara realized then that the festival of the awakening spirit was not merely a spectacle, it was a reflection of her inner journey. Only by confronting and mastering her deepest fear could she reveal the path to the heart's true desire. With a final strike of the drum, the golden light shone brighter than ever, and Amara felt a profound sense of peace and certainty. As the shadow of fear dissolved into the golden glow, Amara felt a warmth envelop her entire being. The drum hummed softly in her lap, the golden coin pulsing steadily in her pocket, and the shimmering leaf seemed to float beside her, radiating a gentle light. The villagers watched in awe, holding their breath as the festival of the awakening spirit unfolded in a magical, almost sacred silence. From the heart of the golden light, a figure began to take shape, a spirit of radiant energy, neither fully human nor entirely ethereal. Its presence filled the square with a calm yet powerful force, vibrating through every soul present. "Amara," the spirit spoke, its voice like wind through the tallest trees. "You have faced shadows, crossed rivers, endured mountains, and nurtured those in need. You have proven patience, courage, generosity, wisdom, and trust. And now you have conquered the greatest fear that dwelled within your own heart." Amara lowered her gaze humbly. I have tried," she whispered. "I have only followed what my heart told me." The spirit's light intensified, bathing her in warmth. "Your heart has chosen correctly. The golden coin you carry, the drum, and the leaf are symbols of the virtues that guided you. But the greatest treasure is not these objects. It is the knowledge, strength, and clarity you have gained. And yet you shall receive a gift, one that your heart has long desired, but you could not name until this moment." With a sweeping gesture, the spirit extended a glowing hand toward the drum. The drum lifted gently into the air, glowing with a soft, radiant energy. "This drum," the spirit said, "contains the voices of your ancestors. Through it, you may connect to their wisdom, seek guidance, and channel the power of your heart. But there is more. The golden coin you have saved with unwavering dedication shall now transform its energy into a key. The key will unlock one true desire of your heart, whatever it may be, provided that it is worthy and pure." Amara felt tears prick at her eyes. Every trial, every coin saved, every act of kindness and courage had led to this moment. She realized that her heart had always known the answer. It was the one thing she had longed for, the drum that could speak to the spirits, but also the clarity to understand herself and her purpose in the world. Slowly she placed the golden coin into the hollow of the drum. A pulse of golden light erupted, intertwining with the drum's hum. The villagers gasped as the sound resonated across the valley, a rhythm that seemed to connect everyone, every living creature, to the heart of Ireke itself. Amara felt a surge of power and understanding flow through her. The drum and coin were now united, and the shimmering leaf floated above, radiating a gentle light that seemed to guide her every thought. The morning after the festival of the awakening spirit, Amara awoke with a sense of purpose unlike anything she had ever felt. The drum rested beside her, humming softly, its energy intertwined with the golden coin she had placed inside. The shimmering leaf floated gently above, radiating warmth and light that seemed to guide her every thought. For the first time, she understood the true power she now carried, not just in the drum, but within herself. As she stepped into the village square, she immediately sensed a change. The people of Ireke were beginning to recover from the recent hardships, yet whispers of unease lingered in the air. A neighboring village had been struck by a sudden and streams to dry. Traders were hesitant to travel and supplies were scarce. The elders had been discussing ways to aid their neighbors, but fear and indecision had slowed any action. Amara knew that her journey had prepared her for this very moment. She lifted the drum and placed her hands upon its surface. The soft hum resonated through the square, catching the attention of the villagers. "Listen," she called, her voice clear and commanding. "The festival has shown me the path. We have the ability to help not just ourselves, but others who are suffering. We cannot wait for fear or doubt to guide us. We must act together." Some villagers murmured uncertainly, glancing at one another. Yet the drum's resonant rhythm seemed to stir something deep within their hearts. Even the skeptical began to feel a spark of courage. The golden coin pulsed in Amara's pocket, reminding her of every trial she had endured and every act of patience and generosity that had shaped her journey. Amara continued, outlining a plan to send a caravan of supplies to the neighboring village. She divided responsibilities, assigning those with strength to carry goods, those with wisdom to navigate the difficult terrain, and those with skill to protect and guide the group. Every task was distributed with fairness, ensuring that each villager contributed according to their strengths. When the villagers hesitated, she tapped the drum. A deep, resonant rhythm filled the air, creating a sense of unity and purpose. It was as if the drum's pulse synchronized with the heartbeat of the village itself, reminding them of what they could accomplish when guided by courage and cooperation. Slowly, smiles replaced doubt, and determination replaced fear. By midday, the caravan was ready. Amara climbed to the front, drum in hand, leading the villagers through the winding paths toward the village in need. The sun beat down, but the drum's rhythm gave them energy and hope, guiding their footsteps and fortifying their hearts. Amara felt the golden coin warm in her pocket, a reminder of every choice she had made to save, endure, and persevere. As the caravan disappeared over the horizon, the villagers left behind looked to Amara with newfound admiration. She realized that her journey was no longer just about herself. It had become about inspiring and guiding others, using the gifts and wisdom she had earned. And as she prepared for the challenges ahead, she knew that even greater trials awaited, ones that would test her abilities and heart to the very limits. The sun had climbed high into the sky when Amara led the caravan toward the neighboring village. The drum hummed softly at her side, its gentle rhythm mingling with the crunch of gravel beneath their feet. The villagers moved in a steady line, carrying food, water, and supplies to aid those who were suffering. Amara's heart swelled with pride, but she knew that the journey would not be without challenges. By mid-afternoon, the path narrowed into a rocky gorge. Steep cliffs rose on either side, and the wind howled through the chasm like a restless spirit. Loose stones tumbled from the cliffs above, forcing the caravan to halt. Amara tapped the drum lightly, sending out a rhythm that seemed to steady the nerves of those around her. The villagers hesitated, fear flickering in their eyes, but the steady pulse of the drum reminded them of their purpose. Suddenly, a landslide erupted from the cliff above, sending boulders crashing toward the path. Amara's heart leapt into her throat. She instinctively grabbed the drum and struck it with force. The deep reverberations echoed through the gorge, creating a shock wave that caused the falling stones to veer slightly, giving the villagers a narrow chance to leap to safety. She guided them carefully, ensuring no one was left behind, using both her voice and the drum's rhythm to synchronize their movements. Once the immediate danger had passed, Amara paused to catch her breath. She glanced at the villagers, noting the mixture of exhaustion and determination on their faces. "We must remain vigilant," she said. "The path ahead is treacherous, but our purpose is greater than our fear. Trust in yourselves, and trust in the journey we have begun together." As they continued, another challenge arose, a dense, thorn-covered forest that seemed to block the path entirely. The leaves were thick, the undergrowth tangled, and hidden roots threatened to trip anyone not paying attention. Amara struck the drum again, and this time the rhythmic beat seemed to part the thorny branches just enough for the caravan to pass through. The villagers followed her cautiously, inspired by her courage and steady leadership. Hours later, as dusk approached, they reached the edge of the forest and looked down upon the neighboring village. Smoke rose from small hearths, and the sight of the struggling villagers emerging from their homes filled the caravan with renewed energy. Amara felt the golden coin warm in her pocket, a reminder of every step, every choice, every act of perseverance and courage that had brought them
leadership
to this
was
moment.
not merely giving orders or making plans. It was about facing fear, inspiring others, and guiding them through adversity. The trials on the journey had tested her, but they had also strengthened her, preparing her to meet whatever awaited in the neighboring village. With the drum in her hands and the golden coin secure, Amara led her people down the final stretch, ready to bring aid, hope, and light where it was most needed. The neighboring village lay sprawled beneath them, its once fertile fields parched and cracked under the relentless sun. Smoke curled from a few small fires where families had gathered for warmth, and the air smelled of dust, dried herbs, and worry. Amara's heart tightened at the sight. She had come to bring aid, but seeing the reality of the suffering made her determination burn brighter. She stepped into the village square, drum in her hands, the golden coin tucked safely in her pocket. The villagers stared at her, some with hope, some with skepticism, and others with quiet despair. She knew that mere words would not be enough. Their spirits were as parched as their land. She needed to show them that change, guidance, and healing were possible. Amara tapped the drum lightly. The deep, resonant sound vibrated through the village, settling like a warm breeze over the anxious faces. At first, the villagers hesitated, unsure of the rhythm's meaning. Then she struck again, this time weaving a steady, calming beat, one that echoed the pulse of life itself. Slowly, the tension in the villagers' shoulders began to ease. Children stopped crying, elders straightened, and a faint smile appeared on weary faces. Moving among them, Amara instructed the villagers to form circles, holding hands as she tapped the drum in synchrony. "Feel the rhythm," she said, her voice carrying both authority and compassion. "Let it guide your hearts. Together we can restore what has been lost." As the drum resonated, the golden coin in her pocket pulsed, and the leaf floated above, casting a warm glow over the gathering. The villagers began to follow her lead, their movements instinctively syncing to the beat, their doubts slowly melting away. Amara focused her energy, letting the drum's vibrations flow into the earth, the fields, and the parched riverbeds. She guided them to dig small channels, collect water, and tend to the crops with renewed care. The drum's rhythm seemed to amplify their strength, and the leaf's gentle glow encouraged their spirits. Slowly but surely, small shoots of green began to reappear in the dry soil, and the river shimmered faintly, hinting at the possibility of life returning. By nightfall, the village square had transformed from a place of despair into a hub of hope and energy. Children laughed, villagers sang softly to the drum's beat, and the elders nodded in approval. Amara realized that her trials had prepared her for this exact moment, not simply to possess the drum, but to wield it with purpose, to bring healing and guidance where it was most needed. As she placed the drum carefully beside her, the villagers gathered around, expressing their gratitude and wonder. Amara smiled, knowing that the journey had taught her a profound truth. True power lies not in the possession of magical objects, but in the courage, wisdom, and compassion to use them for the good of others. And as the moon rose over the recovering village, she felt a surge of hope for the challenges yet to come. The night had settled quietly over the neighboring village, the drum resting beside Amara as its soft hum mingled with the gentle wind. For a moment, everything seemed peaceful, too peaceful perhaps for a world where danger often lurked where least expected. Amara's instincts told her that the trials were far from over. The golden coin pulsed faintly in her pocket, a steady heartbeat of warning and encouragement combined. As she walked toward the edge of the village, she noticed a flicker of movement among the trees bordering the fields. Shadows shifted unnaturally, and the wind carried with it an unfamiliar scent, earthy yet tinged with something sinister. Amara's pulse quickened. She raised the drum, tapping a single low beat that vibrated through the night air. Immediately, the villagers stirred from their homes, drawn by the sound and by the sense of urgency that radiated from her. From the darkness emerged figures cloaked in tattered robes, faces hidden beneath hoods. Their movements were deliberate and silent, but the feeling they brought was one of unease. "Who are you?" Amara called, her voice steady despite the fear curling in her chest. The figures didn't answer. Instead, they advanced toward the village, and the shadows seemed to ripple around them like smoke. Amara's mind raced. The villagers were unarmed and vulnerable. The drum in her hands seemed to respond to her thoughts, the rhythm quickening and deepening, as if ready to amplify her courage. She struck the drum firmly, the sound reverberating through the village and across the fields, creating a protective resonance that made the intruders hesitate.
Then spoke in unison, their voices like a chorus of whispers. "The one who holds the heart of Ireke shall answer to the trial of unity. Will the village stand as one, or will fear divide them?" Amara understood immediately. This was not a fight of weapons, but a test of leadership, courage, and collective strength. She turned to the villagers, raising her hands and letting the drum's rhythm fill the square. "Stand with me," she called. "We have faced hardship together, and together we will face whatever comes. Trust in each other and in the heart of Ireke." Slowly, the villagers formed a circle around her, holding hands, their movements guided by the drum's steady pulse. The golden coin in her pocket warmed. The leaf floated above, glowing brighter than ever, casting a light that wove around them like a protective aura. The hooded figures faltered as the villagers' unity created an energy barrier that pushed back the darkness. The shadowy intruders hissed and receded, unable to break through the combined courage and cohesion of Amara and her people. As the threat vanished into the forest, the villagers released their hands, breathless but triumphant. Amara's heart soared. She realized that the drum, the coin, and the leaf were powerful, but the true strength came from the trust, unity, and courage of those who followed her lead. That night, under a sky full of stars, Amara stood at the village center, feeling a profound sense of purpose. The trials had tested her heart, her courage, and her wisdom, and the village had passed alongside her. She knew that even greater challenges awaited, but for the first time she felt the unstoppable power of a united heart. The following morning, Amara rose before the sun, the drum's soft hum already resonating through the quiet village. The golden coin in her pocket seemed to pulse with purpose, and the shimmering leaf floated above, reflecting the first rays of light. Today, her mission was clear: to restore the river that nourished both her village and the neighboring one. Without water, the lands would remain parched, and the people would continue to struggle. Amara gathered a group of villagers from both villages and led them toward the riverbed, which had been reduced to a shallow, cracked channel. She studied the path of the river carefully, noting the areas where stones had blocked its flow, where debris had collected, and where the banks had eroded. The task ahead was immense, but the drum's rhythm encouraged steady, unified movement. She began by striking the drum in a deep, steady pattern, the vibrations resonating through the earth. The villagers instinctively followed her lead, using their combined strength to move stones, clear debris, and dig new channels for the water to flow. The golden coin in her pocket pulsed warmly, guiding her hands and providing a steady source of focus and courage. The leaf floated above, glowing brighter whenever the villagers worked together, almost as if it were feeding off their unity and determination. Hours passed, and the sun climbed high, scorching their backs and drying their sweat-covered skin. Yet Amara refused to waver. Whenever a villager faltered, she struck the drum again, letting the steady rhythm wash over them like a wave of encouragement. Slowly, water began to seep through the cleared channels, trickling and then flowing with increasing force. Cheers erupted as the first streams returned to life, shimmering under the sun's brilliance. Amara guided them further, carefully adjusting the flow and reinforcing the banks to prevent future erosion. Each task required wisdom as much as strength. One wrong move could undo hours of effort. She instructed the villagers, encouraging them to think, to plan, and to act with care. The drum's rhythm kept their spirits high, while the golden coin's warmth reminded Amara that every step, every moment of perseverance was part of a greater purpose. By evening, the river had been fully restored, flowing with a steady, clear current that nourished the fields and filled the village wells. Both villages celebrated, their gratitude evident in joyous laughter, songs, and heartfelt embraces. Amara stood at the riverbank, the drum by her side and the golden coin secure in her pocket, feeling the weight of responsibility settle comfortably on her
planting
shoulders.
crops and tending to their livestock, laughter and chatter filling the air. For a moment, it seemed that peace and prosperity had truly returned. Yet, even in times of triumph, shadows often lingered. Amara noticed a stranger standing at the edge of the river, a man dressed in simple but foreign clothing, watching the villagers with an intensity that made her uneasy. He stepped forward, smiling warmly. "Greetings, young leader," he said, his voice smooth and persuasive. "I have traveled far, hearing of your deeds and the remarkable courage you possess. I wish to offer my assistance in maintaining the prosperity you've brought to these lands." The villagers looked at Amara expectantly, hopeful that this stranger's arrival meant more help for their thriving villages. Amara felt a pull in her heart. Her instincts whispered caution, yet the stranger's demeanor seemed sincere. She remembered the lessons of trust and generosity that had carried her through countless trials. Perhaps this was an opportunity to extend their unity beyond what she had imagined. Still, she chose to test him. "Your intentions must be proven before we accept your help," she said firmly, tapping the drum lightly. Its deep, resonant sound seemed to echo the seriousness of her words. "Actions speak louder than words. Work alongside the villagers and we will see if your heart is true." The man agreed enthusiastically, and at first his contributions seemed genuine. He offered suggestions for irrigation, helped clear debris, and shared knowledge on distant lands. The villagers began to trust him, and even Amara's initial doubts began to soften. But late that evening, as the moon cast silver light over the river, she noticed subtle signs that troubled her. Supplies mysteriously disappearing, tools hidden under rocks, and whispered conversations that ceased when she approached. Amara's heart tightened. She tapped the drum in a slow, deliberate rhythm, calling the villagers to gather. "Someone among us does not have the village's best interest at heart," she announced, her voice firm but calm. "We must be vigilant and discerning, for even in times of prosperity, shadows can appear where least expected." The stranger's smile faltered, but he did not speak. Amara knew that her greatest trial in this moment was not strength or wisdom, but discernment, the ability to see intentions clearly and protect her people from deception without losing the trust she had nurtured. She struck the drum again, letting its sound vibrate through the village, binding the villagers together in unity and alertness. The golden coin pulsed warmly in her pocket, a reminder that her journey had always been guided by perseverance, courage, and a clear heart. The shadow of betrayal had arrived, and Amara's true test of judgment was about to begin. Amara spent the night in restless thought, the drum resting at her side and the golden coin pulsing steadily in her pocket. The stranger's subtle misdeeds haunted her mind, the missing supplies, the hidden tools, and the hushed whispers that ceased when she approached. She knew she could not act hastily. The villagers' trust and unity were fragile, and any rash move could shatter the harmony she had worked so hard to build. At dawn, Amara decided to confront the problem with both wisdom and caution. She called the villagers to the square, tapping the drum to gather their attention. Its deep, resonant rhythm carried authority, yet it also calmed their nerves. "We face a challenge," she said, her voice clear. "Someone among us has not acted with honesty. But this is not a time for anger or blame. It is a time to act with discernment and courage." The villagers exchanged uneasy glances, murmurs spreading through the crowd. The stranger stood silently, his hooded eyes hidden, but Amara could feel the tension radiating from him. She took a deep breath, letting the drum's vibrations resonate through her body, strengthening her resolve. Using a simple test, she asked the villagers to show her where each tool and supply had been stored and used. The drum's rhythm created a steady cadence, keeping the group focused and cooperative.
Slowly, inconsistencies emerged. Supplies were missing from places where they should have been, and the stranger's suggested solutions had not been implemented as promised. Amara turned to the stranger, her eyes piercing beneath her calm exterior. "Your actions have betrayed the trust of these people," she said firmly. "You came to us under the guise of assistance, but your deeds have caused harm." The stranger's face tightened, and for a brief moment a flicker of anger passed through his expression. I meant only to test them," he stammered, but the villagers shook their heads in disapproval. Amara struck the drum once more, a deep and final beat that seemed to echo across the entire village. The sound reinforced the bonds among the villagers, reminding them of their unity and shared
Amara
purpose.
made her decision. "You may no longer remain here," she declared. "Your actions have shown that your heart does not align with the well-being of our people. We will continue to prosper through cooperation, honesty, and courage." The stranger bowed, a hint of respect now in his eyes, and departed silently into the forest. The villagers exhaled collectively, relief washing over them. Amara felt the golden coin pulse in her pocket as if affirming her choice, and the leaf floated above, glowing warmly in quiet approval. That day, the village learned a powerful lesson. Strength lies not only in courage or generosity, but in the ability to discern truth from deceit and to protect what matters most without surrendering the values that guide one's heart. Amara realized that leadership required more than action. It demanded clarity, patience, and unwavering integrity. The morning after the stranger's departure, Amara called a meeting in the village square. The golden coin pulsed warmly in her pocket, the drum hummed at her side, and the shimmering leaf floated above her, casting a gentle glow over the gathered villagers. This was a day of teaching, of sharing the wisdom she had gained through trials, triumphs, and even betrayal. "Today," Amara began, "we are not only restoring our village, but also safeguarding our hearts and our community from harm. The world is full of shadows that can creep in quietly, disguised as helpers. We must remain vigilant, united, and guided by wisdom." The villagers listened intently, some nodding, others leaning closer, captivated by her words. Amara struck the drum lightly, letting its deep, resonant tone flow across the square. "The drum," she explained, "is not just an instrument, it is a guide, a reflection of our intentions. When we act with unity, courage, and honesty, it strengthens us. When deceit or fear enters, it falters. Let us use its rhythm to remind ourselves of what is important." Amara organized the villagers into small groups, teaching them to communicate, observe, and act collectively. They practiced checking supplies, guarding the river, and tending crops with care. She emphasized collaboration, encouraging them to share knowledge and support one another. "A village," she said, "is only as strong as the hearts of its people. Each act of honesty, courage, and generosity is a brick in the foundation of our future." Next, she guided the villagers in creating a watch system for the river and the surrounding lands. They would patrol the borders, care for the crops, and ensure no one sought to disrupt their unity. The drum's rhythm set the pace, and the leaf's glow marked those working with pure intentions. Even the youngest children learned the importance of mindfulness and teamwork, planting seeds with care and joy. As the day wore on, Amara noticed a remarkable transformation. The villagers were no longer just following her lead. They were thinking independently, supporting one another, and acting with discernment. The golden coin pulsed in her pocket like a heartbeat, as if acknowledging that her lessons had taken root.
By evening, the village felt stronger, more resilient, and more connected than ever. Amara stood at the center of the square, looking at the smiling faces around her. She realized that true leadership was not in commanding others, but in empowering them, teaching them to recognize both the blessings and the shadows that life brings. With the drum resting at her side and the leaf glowing above, she whispered to herself, "We are guardians of the heart. Together, nothing can break the strength we have built." And in that moment, Amara felt a profound sense of accomplishment, knowing that her journey was shaping not only her destiny, but the future of her people as well. A week after the villagers had become guardians of their land, a distant rumble reached the ears of Amara. Travelers from a neighboring region had arrived at the riverbank, their faces marked by hunger, fear, and determination. But there was something else, an air of entitlement, as if the river itself belonged to them. Amara's heart tightened. Though her village had restored the river and strengthened their unity, she sensed that challenges were far from over. The travelers approached the village cautiously, sending forward a messenger to speak with Amara. The messenger, a young man with a sharp gaze, carried a message from their chief. "We have come seeking the river that flows through your lands. Our crops have failed, and our people starve. We request that you allow us access to the water." Amara studied him carefully. She could see desperation in the eyes of the messenger, but she also noticed subtle arrogance, the assumption that their claim was unquestionable. She knew that yielding blindly could put her people's hard-won prosperity at risk, yet she also understood the importance of compassion. The lessons of patience, courage, and generosity were needed now more than
and
ever.
consulted the drum, its soft hum echoing like a heartbeat. "We must approach this with wisdom," she said. "Conflict will only bring ruin. We must find a way to protect our people while offering aid to those in need." Amara stepped forward to meet the rival chief's envoy. "The river nourishes both our villages," she explained, tapping the drum rightly. "It is a source of life, not a weapon. We will not deny your people water, but we must ensure it is shared fairly without endangering the balance we have restored." The envoy's gaze narrowed. "And if we refuse to follow your rules?" he challenged. Amara struck the drum with a strong, clear rhythm. Its deep resonance seemed to fill the space between them, a reminder of the unity and strength of her people. "Then we stand together," she said, her voice unwavering. "We will defend what we have built, but we will not fight out of greed or anger. We act with courage and wisdom, not fear." Negotiations began under the glow of the leaf, which floated above and cast a calming light over both villages. Amara proposed a system of shared water access, rotation schedules for irrigation, and cooperation in maintaining the riverbanks. Slowly, the rival villagers began to understand that this was not a power struggle, but an opportunity for unity and mutual survival. By nightfall, an agreement had been reached. Both villages would share the river equitably, guided by clear rules and cooperation. Amara felt a surge of relief and pride. Once again, her courage, wisdom, and leadership had turned a potential conflict into a lasting alliance. The day after the agreement with the rival village, Amara decided to celebrate not only the river's restoration, but also the newfound alliance. She called it the Festival of Unity, a gathering to honor courage, wisdom, generosity, and trust. The golden coin pulsed warmly in her pocket, the drum rested beside her, and the leaf floated above, glowing brighter than ever, as if sensing the importance of the occasion.
Villagers from both communities arrived, their faces filled with curiosity, hope, and cautious optimism. Children ran between groups, laughter blending into the hum of the drum as Amara tapped it lightly. The rhythm spread through the square, resonating not only with the villagers, but with the very earth beneath their feet. It was as if the drum itself celebrated their collective courage and collaboration. Amara addressed the gathering, her voice calm yet powerful. Today, we honor what we have accomplished together. We faced fear, deception, and hardship, yet we endured. We have proven that strength lies not only in individual courage, but in the unity of hearts and purpose. The rival village chief stepped forward, nodding with respect. We came seeking water and survival. We leave with friendship, guidance, and understanding. Your leadership has taught us the value of unity and patience. As the festival began, Amara demonstrated the drum's unique power. When she struck it in a deep, steady rhythm, the villagers felt renewed energy coursing through them. Tasks that had once seemed arduous, lifting heavy water buckets, tending crops, repairing structures, now flowed with ease. The golden coin in Amara's pocket pulsed in harmony with the drum, amplifying the energy of the people's hearts. Even the leaf floated higher, casting a protective glow over the gathered crowd. Dancers moved in circles, weaving between firelight and lanterns, their movements guided by the drum's rhythm. Songs of hope, courage, and perseverance filled the air. Amara noticed subtle miracles. Water seemed to flow more freely through the river channels, plants straightened and grew taller, and animals moved calmly among the villagers. The drum's magic, amplified by the golden coin and the leaf, had become a beacon of life and harmony. As night fell, Amara climbed a small rise overlooking the festival. She watched as both villages celebrated together, laughter and song mingling under the stars. Her heart swelled with pride, gratitude, and understanding. The journey she had undertaken, the mountains, the shadows, the trials, the deception, and the river had all led to this moment. She realized that the one thing her heart had needed all along was not merely the drum or the coin, but the wisdom, courage, and compassion to bring light and life to others. In uniting the villages, she had fulfilled her purpose, yet she knew that life would always bring new challenges. But for now, the Festival of Unity stood as a testament to the power of a steadfast heart. The celebrations of the Festival of Unity had barely settled when dark clouds began to gather over the valley. By midday, the sky had turned a deep, ominous gray, and the wind carried the first whispers of a coming storm. Amara felt the familiar pulse of the golden coin in her pocket, a gentle warning intertwined with determination. The drum's surface hummed in response, resonating with the tension
quickly,
in the air.
sensing the impending danger. Amara stood before them, the leaf glowing softly above her head. "The storm approaches swiftly," she called, her voice carrying over the rising wind. "We must act together, just as we have learned to act in all trials. Protect the riverbanks, secure the crops, and shelter the animals. Our unity is our strength." The rival village leaders nodded in agreement, rushing alongside Amara's people. It was a test unlike any they had faced, a challenge of endurance, coordination, and trust under immense pressure. Amara tapped the drum firmly, its deep beats cutting through the roar of the wind. The rhythm seemed to synchronize the villagers' movements, guiding them as they worked tirelessly to reinforce the riverbanks and construct barriers against the flooding water.
Rain began to fall in heavy sheets, soaking everyone within minutes. The river swelled rapidly, threatening to overflow into the fields and homes. Yet Amara's calm focus and the drum's resonant pulse kept the villagers moving with clarity and purpose. Even the smallest child was guided to safe tasks, carrying messages or helping tie protective coverings, their fear mitigated by the energy of the drum and the glowing leaf. Hours passed with relentless rain, yet the villagers held firm. Amara's leadership became a beacon, her courage inspiring even those who had doubted themselves. She moved among them, offering guidance and reassurance, tapping the drum whenever coordination faltered or exhaustion threatened to take hold. The golden coin pulsed warmly, as though lending her strength and reinforcing the collective courage of all those who followed her lead. By nightfall, the storm had passed, leaving the villages battered but intact. Floodwaters receded, fields were damp but preserved, and animals were safe. The villagers, drenched and weary, gathered in the square, relief and admiration shining on every face. They understood more profoundly than ever that their unity and trust in Amara had carried them through the tempest. Amara stood in the center, the drum at her feet, the leaf glowing above her, and the golden coin secure in her pocket. She realized that this trial had proven something vital. Unity, courage, and wisdom were far more powerful than fear or adversity. The storm had tested them, and they had endured together. With a deep breath, she whispered to herself, "Our hearts are strong. We have faced shadows, deception, and storms, and we remain steadfast. Whatever comes next, we are ready." The morning after the storm, the villages emerged from their homes to a landscape that gleamed with resilience. The river flowed steadily, its waters now stronger and clearer than ever, reflecting the sunlight and casting a shimmering glow across the fields. The villagers had endured the tempest together, and the bonds forged in courage, trust, and unity now radiated more powerfully than any force of nature. Amara stood at the riverbank, the golden coin warm in her pocket, the drum at her feet, and the shimmering leaf floating above her. She felt an overwhelming sense of completion and purpose. Every trial she had faced, the mountains, the shadows, the thief, the rival villages, the storm, had led her to this moment. She realized that the one thing her heart truly needed was not simply the drum, the coin, or even the leaf. It was the wisdom, courage, and compassion she had cultivated along the way. It was the ability to inspire, guide, and protect those she loved. The villagers gathered around her, their faces reflecting admiration, gratitude, and newfound confidence. Children laughed and played in the river's gentle currents, elders exchanged proud glances, and the rival villagers joined in, now fully integrated into the harmony that Amara had nurtured. The Festival of Unity had been more than a celebration. It had become a living testament to the power of hearts aligned in purpose. Amara tapped the drum one final time, letting its deep, resonant rhythm echo across the valley. The leaf's glow intensified, and the golden coin in her pocket pulsed in perfect harmony, as if acknowledging her growth and the fulfillment of her journey. The vibrations carried a message to every soul present that courage, patience, generosity, and wisdom, when combined with unity and love, could overcome any obstacle. As the sun rose higher, casting golden light across the river, Amara lifted the drum above her head. The villagers cheered, their voices blending in a chorus that seemed to resonate with the very heart of the land.
She realized that her heart's desire had always been more than a single object. It was the understanding that true fulfillment comes from nurturing life, guiding others, and remaining steadfast in the
Years
face
would
of
pass,
every
and
challenge.
Amara's story would be told for generations. The villages would thrive, bound together not only by water, but by the enduring lessons of courage, unity, and the steadfast heart of the girl who saved every coin. And though she had begun her journey seeking one thing, she had discovered far more: the power to change the world, one heart at a time. As the villagers celebrated and the river sparkled like liquid gold, Amara smiled, her heart full. She had faced shadows, storms, and betrayal, yet she remained true to her purpose. And in that truth, she found everything her heart had ever needed.